A woman from Mesa is dead after pointing a gun at a DPS officer. The shooting happened inside a home near Broadway and Power Road. Officers were trying to serve a search warrant at a suspected drug house when an officer shot and killed 36-year-old Katie Jones. The officer says that she was pointing a gun at him. The officer, Troy Lewis, has been on the force for 12 years. He's on administrative leave until an investigation is complete. 8 other suspects in the home were arrested last night and later released.
We have 2 big thank yous today from our Silent Witness program. First, a big thanks to Long John Silver's for donating $50,000 to Silent Witness. They gave a $30,000 big check today. The money will help pay for rewards. A second big thank you to Silent Witness from Kenilworth Elementary. Officers have donated their used computers to the school. And by the way, students from Kenilworth watched the shuttle launch earlier today. Hear what they have to say tonight at 5.
Well, something most of us can only dream of, an ATM machine that suddenly became a slot machine. It happened to Lori Glass in Marshfield, Massachusetts. She punched her PIN number into the bank's automatic teller machine, and suddenly, apparently, the ATM went berserk, spitting out 10s and 20s. But instead of stuffing the money into her purse, Lori Glass waited for police. All the money from the ATM was eventually returned.
And she felt much better because she did the right thing.
You wonder how many people would do that or just go, think I'll miss these little coins right here? Ed Hammers?
Yes.
We're not going to ask you that question because I'm afraid of what the answer might be.
That is a wise move, Rick DeBro. We're looking at the Interloop at 16th Street. It's looking pretty good here. Once you get to 12th Street, you're going to start bogging things down. That is because of, guess it, you guessed it, an accident inside the Deck Park Tunnel. So avoid the Interloop, at least for now, but it's not looking so bad right here at 16th Street. Up next, let's take a look at the Maricopa Freeway at 48th Street. Looks like you're bogging down. This starts all the way back at University. Your delay continues out towards US 60. And if I had a camera on US 60, I'd show you an accident at Stapley in the westbound lane. 5 cars involved. Your delay is back to Val Vista. Hey, are you happy with your company's health care coverage? United Healthcare of Arizona offers health plan benefit options for companies with as few as 2 employees. Call United Healthcare of Arizona at 200-1346. And I'm Ed Hammers with your Skyview for 12 News, first at 4.
Yeah, but that traffic doesn't bother Dee Riley because she gets to use the carpool lane today.
I'm doing my part to cut down on pollution.
You just want to get home fast.
Let's take a look at our current temperatures. It's 80 degrees. It's 82 in downtown Phoenix. Normally, we're at 83 degrees, the normal low 55. The record high, 96 degrees, set back in 1937, and the record low, 40, set back in 1971.
A perfect tire would be one that never went flat. Well, now a couple of companies say they have mastered the idea.
Still to come, Consumer Reports puts them to the test to see how well they really do. Also, more trouble today for the British nanny convicted of killing a child in her care. It's possible her parents could now spend time in jail.
Plus, Clueless is not flawless. Coming up, we'll show you the mistake movie makers didn't catch.
And up next in health news, a huge breakthrough in the fight against breast cancer. But first,
don't forget to answer our question of the day. We want to know, would you travel into space if you had the chance? And tell us why. Call us at 260-1212 or email us at 12listen to 12news.com.
We'll play back your responses in about 35 minutes.
12 News closed captioning is brought to you by your Valley Jeep dealers.
The FDA just approved a new weapon in the battle against breast cancer. The agency gave the green light to the drug tamoxifen. It's to be used in healthy women who have high risk factors for breast cancer. Tamoxifen is the first ever medicine touted as being able to reduce a woman's risk of breast cancer. Experts say it may cut the odds of developing a tumor, but keep in mind its side effects can be life-threatening, and experts say there is no solid proof that tamoxifen actually prevents breast cancer. We've been talking a lot about how John Glenn's historic return to space could lead to ways to help us live longer and better lives. Well, Mr. Glenn now has some company. Fruit flies are doing the same thing. Researchers at Caltech have discovered a gene that lets fruit flies live longer, resist heat, starvation, and even poison. Their discovery could help scientists find ways to help humans live longer lives.
New information today about a New Jersey woman who killed her newborn baby at her prom. 20-year-old Melissa Drexler was tearful today in court. She was sentenced to 15 years in prison, but with good behavior, she could be released in less than 3 years. Drexler says she had the baby in the bathroom at her high school prom. She then wrapped the baby in garbage bags and returned to the dance floor. The judge said Drexler's actions were, and I quote here, explainable but not excusable. Police are reportedly investigating the parents of Louise Woodward. She's the British nanny convicted of killing a baby in her care. The Boston Herald reported today that some of the money that was raised to defend Woodward may have been misused. Investigators think the parents may have taken as much as $340,000.
Let's take a look at a forecast for tonight. Some clouds moving in tonight with an overnight low of 60 degrees. And for tomorrow, get out the umbrellas. You may need them. We could see some scattered showers and cooler temperatures. The high tomorrow, only 72.
Probably need to fix that windshield wiper on my car.
I'm sure. I need new wiper blades.
Wasn't working too well last week in the rain. Probably won't do any better this week.
Well, Tom Cruise's ego suffered a huge blow. We'll tell you what happened to him at a Blockbuster video store in London.
Almost like a commercial, actually. Plus, we'll explain why Tom Cruise is all smiles, though, after walking out of a London courtroom.
And Prince Charles' birthday party gets a little spicy with a special serenade just for him.
What's going on, Dave Fan Snake with your 411? Eric has a hard time absorbing the news about Nicole and Taylor. Rightfully so. What would you do if somebody just, swooped in on your favorite one? Now, Sammy breaks down in Austin's arms. Just what Austin was looking for. And, Sammy, you think you're cool, but you're not fooling anybody. And she's so heavy. How can you hold her? Vivian fears she has, some crazy disease, and who knows what it is. With your 411 on Days, I'm safe.
It's time to get you plugged in. Actor Tom Cruise walks out of a London courtroom a happy man. A London newspaper reported that the marriage between Cruise and Nicole Kidman is a sham and merely a business arrangement to cover up homosexuality. The newspaper now says all the allegations are false. Cruise was awarded an undisclosed six-figure sum by the court, but was quick to say every penny of it would go to charity.
Well, he may have won that battle, but he lost a fight with Blockbuster Video. Apparently, when Tom tried to rent a movie at a Blockbuster Video in London without showing the proper ID, he was told, sorry, no can do. Even though employees recognized him, Cruise wasn't allowed to rent a tape because he didn't have two forms of identification. Didn't even have Nicole Kidman there. A Blockbuster spokesman says the rule applies to everyone, even if you are a big Hollywood star.
Happy birthday, Your Royal Highness. Happy birthday.
Oh, Prince Charles' girlfriend better watch out. Ginger Spice is making a move on her beau. At a star-studded event to celebrate the prince's 50th birthday, Ginger stole the show by serenading the prince. She sang, as you just saw, Happy Birthday Marilyn Monroe style. Some of the other celebrities on hand were 007 Roger Moore, Mr. Bean comedian Rowan Atkinson, and Miss Piggy. Prince Charles' birthday technically isn't until November 14th, but he's celebrating a little early.
I don't know that I'd want Mr. Bean or Miss Piggy at my next birthday party, to be honest with you. Well, the movie Clueless is about a young lady who is, well, shall we say, clueless.
It's not supposed to be about the movie's continuity director. That's the person who has the job of making sure that there are no flubs in a movie.
But it turns out that Clueless is not flubless, and we spotted this one without too much trouble.
What are you doing? You can't take up both lanes. There's no right lane.
Oh, should I write them a note?
Pull over up here and turn off the engine. That right there.
Oh. Are you going to take me somewhere to make left-hand turns?
I saw this one. Of course, you had to help me.
Oh, okay, all right.
You
This
pointed
one
it
is
out.
pretty obvious. Now, Alicia Silverstone is driving along in her Jeep trying to pass the driver's seat. Now, watch. She comes along. She nails that truck. Look, the mirror is missing right there. Can you see it's no
Yeah.
longer there
No,
because
there's-
she
yeah, not
flipped it
there.
off. But as the scene begins to proceed forward, she's going to pull around the corner in his direction. It's a miracle. It's back.
Maybe it bounced back. I
It's-
doubt it.
It's the mirror that wouldn't die. It's amazing. Take one more look at it, and we'll show you exactly what we mean. Here she is driving along. He tells her to move over. Kaboom! And one mirror goes flying off, but I think it's the truck mirror. Her mirror just gets tucked back in. Obviously, he never reaches over and moves it, but when he changes the corner, there you go. It's back in place.
Don't you love this flub?
Maybe it's spring-loaded.
We should send a copy of it to the director.
I don't think they really want to see their flubs
I don't
after
think
they're
so
done.
either.
It'd be like sending you your mistakes after, the next day.
Oh, no.
Remember that newscast yesterday? Well, you did this, and this wrong.
No, I don't want to.
Let's take a look at the current temperatures around the country, let you know what they're doing right weather-wise. Warmest place is in both Tucson at 84 and Marathon and Titusville, Florida, where they all got up to 84 degrees today. Butte, Montana, Cut Bank, Montana, and Burns, Oregon, we're all at 20 degrees above zero this morning. The most rain, well, that was Mark Curtis's old stomping grounds of St. Louis, where they got just about 1.25 inches.
Attorney General Grant Wood says Phillips and Associates has been pulling a bait and switch with its advertising. The firm has agreed to stop its deceptive advertising and pay more than $200,000 in fines.
A raid on a suspected meth lab in Mesa turned deadly last night. A 36-year-old woman was shot and later died after allegedly pointing a handgun at a DPS officer. Katie Jones was airlifted to a hospital where she later died. That shooting is under investigation.
It's time to get a check on sports. Mark Curtis is here to tell us what's going on today.
How you doing, dear?
Fine, thanks. How are you doing?
Just throw me out? I'm not here?
You're chopped liver, buddy. What can I tell you?
Well, standing next to her, I can understand that.
Listen, no, you're doing all right, Rick?
So far, so good. How are you?
No complaints. Beautiful day outside. Hasn't taken long to see that the Coyotes are a much better team this year. Now, granted, beating San Jose, not the same thing exactly as beating Detroit or Dallas, but still winning on the road is always big, especially the way the Coyotes came back last night. The Yotes exploding for 3 goals in the third. This was just great heads-up play by Keith Tkachuk, who spotted Sharks goalie Steve Shields out of position and beat him with a backhander. Then just 36 seconds later, it was Jeremy Roenick lighting it up for his third of the year. The Yotes won the game 4-2. They'll wrap up their road trip Sunday night against the LA Kings. Sun Devils getting set to take off for Saturday's game against Washington State. Now, all this week there's been a lot of concern about running back J.R. Redmond and whether or not he'd be able to play on that sore ankle. Today he told us, yeah, he's ready to go.
Well, I'll be able to go on Saturday. I still got a couple of days to heal. Everything is getting better every day, so everything's looking good right now.
So you're planning on playing?
Yes.
Now, remember earlier this week, we brought you the interview with Barry Sanders' dad when he said, hey, my son's okay, but he could never measure up to Jim Brown. Well, it has not been a good week for sons. Today, Colorado Avalanche general manager Pierre Lacroix traded his son, Eric Lacroix, to the LA Kings for left-winger Roman Vopat. He said he wasn't producing, and he had to make the move.
The bad news when your dad's the coach, you're out of there, clean out your locker, I don't want you around anymore. By the way, I was going to say, don't come home. Thanks, Mark.
That's sad. Thanks, Mark. Well, after $195 million Powerball jackpot, $37 million doesn't sound like a huge jackpot.
But it's big enough to have these Italians lining up for a ticket.
Plus, the familiar scene in Bosnia has military fireworks lighting up the sky, but fortunately, no one was getting hurt this time. Thank you, Earnhardt.
History with our Arizona timeline. On October 29th, 1929, Black Tuesday hit the New York Stock Exchange. Thousands of investors were wiped out as America's Great Depression began.
In 1981, the TV comedy Give Me a Break, starring Nell Carter, debuted on NBC.
And in 1983, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon became the longest-running album on the Billboard Music Chart. The question is, how many weeks did it spend on the chart? Well, the answer coming up for you in just about 15 minutes.
Topping world news, a suicide car bomb threatens the Middle East peace agreement. The Palestinian suicide bomber and Israeli soldier were killed in the attack. The bomber was heading for a school bus full of children, but hit an army jeep instead. Shortly after the attack, Israel demanded Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat to make good on his promise to crack down on terrorism. Palestinian police responded quickly, placing Hamas founder Sheikh Ahmed Yassin under house arrest. Yassin says he doesn't know who's responsible.
Dramatic pictures out of Bosnia today as the planes drop bombs, and you can see the explosions they create on the ground. Military tanks were their target, but fortunately this is only a military exercise. This is the largest military test the Bosnian Serb army has ever held. Here in the United States, we're used to having big lottery jackpots. In fact, the Powerball jackpot is expected to be $46 million this Saturday. But in Italy, $37 million is a big deal. Italians are waiting in long lines to buy a ticket for next week's largest lottery award ever offered in Europe. It's estimated that 2 out of every 3 Italians are playing the game.
$37 million is a big deal to me, too.
I can
1
see
million
why
is a
they
big
would
deal
be willing to do
to me,
that.
too. Well, if you had to pick a dance just for Arizona, what would it be?
As long as it's not the Macarena, I really don't care. It's just that dilemma that is baffling lawmakers in Pennsylvania.
Also, new developments today in the case of these abused Avondale babies.
Plus, up next, this Valley man can change your tires or tune up your booster rocket. We'll explain his connection to today's historic shuttle launch.
Coming up on 12 News. As John Glenn returns to space this week, find out how many of the astronauts that followed him trained right here at Meteor Crater on 12 News. New at 6.
We all know the danger of driving drunk, but there's something else drivers do that's just as dangerous, and you've probably done it. Don't miss this important story for your safety.
Arizona's most experienced news team, 12 News, the one to watch for big story coverage. Tonight, only on 12 News at 6.
Well, some of John Glenn's peers watched as the 77-year-old blasted into space this morning.
These seniors watched the launch together at the Escalante Senior Center in Tempe. All of them remember watching Glenn's first launch 36 years ago.
It was exciting to watch on TV, and we're hearing even more exciting to see it in person.
We're talking about the launch of the Space Shuttle Discovery this afternoon, carrying John Glenn. NBC cameras caught all of the excitement from the ground. A NASA spokesperson thinks about 1 million people were watching the launch from the ground in and around Kennedy Space Center. Most sat in cars along the road or in lawn chairs on the beach. A select few sat in the VIP grandstands at Banana Creek at the Cape. And John Glenn wasn't the only VIP at today's launch. The President and First Lady were on the edge of their seats during the blast-off. President Clinton is only the second sitting president to attend a shuttle launch. Afterward, he thanked the NASA workers.
America is very, very proud of you today.
Other celebrities said to be in a huge crowd gathered around the shuttle: Leonardo DiCaprio, Bruce Willis, and the star of the movie Apollo 13, Tom Hanks. Well, it's been a long time since John Glenn last orbited the Earth back on February 20th, 1962.
But a lot has happened since then.
When the astronaut last flew, there were 85 million fewer Americans than we have now. Ringo Starr wasn't even a member of the Beatles yet. In fact, he joined in August of 1962. Folks lived in a world of black and white TVs and rotary phones. Now we have cellular phones and color TVs with remote controls and 78 cable channels. And back in 1962, a president had an affair in the White House, but it wasn't common knowledge, and no one ever talked about impeachment.
Well, the space shuttles go through repeated inspections before they can ever go on a mission. One man who used to inspect space shuttles is now putting his expertise to work right here in the valley. Blair Meeks introduces us to Les Nagy.
Doing all right today?
Yes,
Good.
Les Nagy loves his work.
Well, we gotta find this hootenanny down here, don't we? 92. Okay, we'll take care of that right now.
You see it in the way he treats his customers.
Did it leak out a little bit? Okay, I'll take care of that. Sure.
And in his attention to detail.
Make sure she's got plenty of oil in there.
When you pull up to Les's pump, be prepared to get more than just a fill-up. Be prepared for a detailed inspection.
I never cut corners. I just check them all. That's all there is to it. And when we got the tires on the space shuttle, well, we got to change out tires a lot of times.
You have a go from main engine start.
Yes, Les said the space shuttle.
Booster ignition and liftoff of the space shuttle Atlantis.
Les used to be responsible for the care of a different kind of vehicle. Before he retired to Arizona, Les used to give the full service treatment to Atlantis, Columbia, Discovery, and Endeavor.
I've been in the business for 30 to 35 years. My actual job title was Shuttle System Inspector. I was responsible for electrical panels that were inside of the fuselage, I call it, and sometimes in the payload, and sometimes I would work on the motors. I worked on hydraulics. I was certified for that. I was for mechanical parts, like your levers and stuff like that. Another thing that we had to check for was all the lights on there, switches.
Les inspected space shuttles for 6 years, and he became an expert.
I had about 16 different certifications that I could go out there and actually function my job, whether it was installing an alternator type of thing, or a valve, or a pump. Looks like you got a little chip there in the window.
Now he's using that expertise on Buicks, Chryslers, and Fords. But he says his customers want more than just expertise.
I think it makes the people feel good that come in here as customers to know that they've got me working on a car because they can trust me. They don't have to worry. Dude, I got a conscience that's a mile long.
And one that stretches all the way into outer space. Blair Meeks, 12 News, Arizona's news station.
And coming up at 5, Steve McLaughlin travels to Meteor Crater to show you Arizona's connection to the space program. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll explain why the shuttle Discovery wouldn't be landing if it weren't for something made right here in Arizona.
In local news, the father of the abused Avondale quadruplet says he is innocent. 21-year-old Tony Perez was in court this morning. He pleaded not guilty to 4 counts of child abuse. Investigators say he failed to get prompt medical care for the babies. The babies have been in state custody since April when they were hospitalized with broken bones, skull fractures, and bruises. The babies, now 10 months old, had injuries consistent with being shaken and beaten. Elizabeth Whittle, the mother of the quad, faces 14 counts of child abuse. Crews digging in the Butterfield Station landfill looking for Cookie Jacobson have sifted through some 200 tons of trash so far. This shot shows just how big a hole that they have dug. They have, in fact, dug down 13 feet deep. Now, that's as far as they need to go down. They've also dug in about 25 yards. Before they're done, they will have dug in about 70 yards into the pile. They've also dug in a spot about 25 yards wide. That's half as wide as they'll have to go before the search is over. Police think Jacobson was killed by her teenage son, and then her body was placed in a trash bin at or near her home. Checking the forecast for right now and tonight. Right now it's about 80 degrees out there. Beautiful 80 degrees, I should say. As for tonight, 60 degrees the overnight low. Some clouds creeping in. The weather is changing tomorrow. Our 5-day forecast coming up in just a moment. Most states have a bird or even a flower in their honor, but in Pennsylvania, lawmakers are busy picking a state dance.
Welcome, everybody!
Go Diego. The problem is they can't seem to decide between